Hello and welcome to this SQL tutorial on stored procedures, where more specifically we're looking at how we can enable the real power of stored procedures with single and multiple parameters. And the format of this tutorial will go between syntax breakdown for both the syntax and multiple parameters, and from there we'll move into actually demonstrating this in SQL Server Management Studio. If you haven't covered the initial elements of stored procedures before, I'll leave a card that will link to one of my previous videos and just standard stored procedures, and that'll be a quick tutorial as well. So without further ado, let's move into the first example that we have. So first of all, we want to look at single parameter stored procedures. Now, we've got a scenario. So we or people in our team regularly need to view the contact details for customers in certain countries. However, if we use a standard stored procedure with a parameter and don't use the isNull functionality that I'll cover, we would throw an error if someone forgot or didn't want to specify a parameter. But we can get around that. So let's look at the actual syntax that we have here. So initially we use the create or alter procedure. Now I believe this was introduced in SQL Server 2016, but it means that we can group create and alter together so that we don't have to add extra code to check if it exists and drop and re-enter stored procedures or whatever. Now, after we specify the data type of our parameter, we need to include equals null. And this will make sense as we move through. This is going to be the bit that allows us to not specify a parameter and the stored procedure to still run. We then go through with as and into our standard query. So we want to see the company name, contact title, city and phone from our customers table in Northwind. You can get access to Northwind, this sample database, on GitHub, Google, whatever. And then we want to say where the country, but we're not going to just declare it equal to the parameter that we specified at country to that variable. We actually need to wrap that in the isNull function. And what that does, it means we can specify a parameter. If not, it'll just return the standard country results. And then we can execute the stored procedure, and we've specified the country in France. So this will give us the contact names by city, which is what we're interested in. So we'll go into SQL Server Management Studio and we'll look at this actually being executed and what we can and can't do. This is the same stored procedure as we looked at in the syntax breakdown that just came before. So you can see when we execute the stored procedure with the exec command, we have specified the country of France, so that's fine. It returns the city and the contacts that are held within the country of France. We can do the same with Belgium, or because we've got the isNull functionality, we can just execute the stored procedure without a parameter, and this works as well. However, like I said, if we weren't to introduce the isNull, so we remove the equal to null in the create or alter procedure section, and we were to recreate the stored procedure where we remove isNull and we don't specify a parameter, we would just get an error message, and that's what we were looking to avoid, and we got around it. So now we're looking at multiple parameters. So let's say we have another scenario. We need to view the freight cost by order ID, but we often have a minimum or maximum freight cost that we want to filter results by, as this is something that we execute frequently. Perfect candidate for a stored procedure with multiple parameters. Now, the syntax is pretty much the same, but a few things to bear in mind. We had to make a join so that we could get the company name in there. If we're using multiple parameters, you'll see this time I've wrapped, after the create or alter procedure, I've wrapped this in parentheses. That's purely for readability, but it does help. And again, same as last time, if we just wanted to have a minimum or maximum freight cost boundary, it's made possible with the isNull function. Apart from that, some slight tweaks with readability, but nothing really changes by adding multiple parameters. It can just be significantly more helpful to a particular scenario. So we've got the full stored procedure again. We'll just create that same as we had in the slide before. Now we can execute this again with a minimum and a maximum freight cost. Again, we declare that within the parenthesis to make it nice and readable, with decimal data types. And we'll go through what we're going to get here is we're going to see the minimum and maximum freight costs by the order ID level. And there we go, freight just references freight costs for our orders. Now we have to join together orders.customer ID, so customer ID in the orders table and customer ID in the customers, as I said, to get that name present within this stored procedure or base query originally. And what we do here, we just say where the freight cost is greater or equal to the minimum freight cost, as you'd expect, or less than or equal to the minimum freight costs. And we wrap it in that isNull function to allow the absence of parameters for this still to run. So we can execute this here with a minimum freight cost of 30. You can see we're getting anything that's greater or over 30 and less than 75. So we might have a specific query or we need to get some data, and that's how we could do that. Again, maybe we delete a parameter. We just want to see everything above 30 in this whole stored procedure. Again, we can just do so by executing that with the minimum freight cost or isNull. Still lets our stored procedure run, and we just get everything equal to or above 30 freight cost. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you.